Hey everybody, it's Jim Johnson here, head coach at Contractor Coach Pro, and my other head coach, Nathan Tebedo, and we wanted to share a little information with you guys today. It's we haven't done too many lives lately, and we thought we had a kind of valuable one for today, and we thought we'd share that with you. We think there's some information out there that is going to be valuable to contractors, especially those contractors that are trying to break through some barriers in their business, and mostly that going over the $1 million mark. There's a lot of things that hang us up, and we as coaches, in all honesty, we tend to be focused on those guys that are a little bit bigger than that. You know, they're $2-3 million. That's usually when they come to us in coaching, and we started to identify some problems. We've been working on something for that for the last couple of years. And the reality is 90% of contractors, home service contractors, are less than $1 million. 10% are the ones that are over $1 million. And those guys are usually trying to get into this mode of focusing on growing and scaling their business. And that 90% is also focused there, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of resources, education, tools, and things like that for them. And so we thought we would do something today to kind of help with maybe some understanding of what needs to be done to kind of break some of those barriers. Welcome aboard, Nathan. Good to have you, man.
Good afternoon.
You've been involved in helping a lot of those contractors break some of those barriers, so I thought it would be good for the two of us to kind of talk about this. You've also worked with our guy, Dave Harrison, on our new program for Contractor Boost, where we're going to help a lot of contractors through this. But you're going to bring some insight to this that I think is going to be valuable to the audience that's watching today. I see we got 9 people on. Welcome. Oh, it's going up really quickly. All we got to do is hang out for a couple of seconds. Everybody's going to be here. Give us just a few more seconds. Hey, best coaching around. I don't know who said that. I see it. Just whenever we're on these lives, all I can see is Facebook user. But I appreciate that. And we are grateful and thankful for the opportunity to help contractors get control of their business so they can grow their business and find that personal and financial freedom that they're chasing. And so, Nathan, you ready to go today?
Yeah, man, let's do it. Let's talk to some people out there.
Before we get started, I mean, you've gotten to work with some of these contractors that kind of have started out in that range, less than $1 million, and they're trying to get over. What are some of the common themes, that you see across those companies? We're going to talk about them a little bit, but just at a high level.
Let's see here. Some common themes where they should pay the most amount of attention. That's a struggle, right? Because a lot of these guys, there's a lot of things pulling them in different directions. And then once you add social media, which, some people might not believe this, but when I got into contracting, social media was not around. And so it's a double-edged sword, because you have this medium where people are putting out all kinds of content, right? But you're not exactly sure what you should be listening to. And so I see guys struggle with that a little bit. I also see guys struggle with where they should spend their money, right? Because when you're smaller, resources can be kind of tight. And so does it make sense to spend a pile of cash on building out your website? Does it make sense to buy a bunch of Facebook ads? Does it make sense to, hire a full-time, administrator? Like what should you be investing? Because we should always be investing back in our business. So where should we be investing when we're at that stage is a question I hear a lot of times. How does everybody else do it? That's another one I hear from guys. They're like, I'm getting started. So how do people do this thing, right? Like, is there one right answer to this question? I hear that one quite a bit too. And one of their big struggles, they don't have enough time. They don't have enough time. So those are a few of them.
Yeah, and I would say I'm right in line with you. That's pretty much what I've heard. This what do I do now thing is what I hear a lot. Like, so I need to build a sales thing, and is that really the thing you need to be doing right now? And so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to share that with the audience. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I got a little presentation I'm going to share with you guys. That way you can maybe take some notes. If you're looking to get your business beyond those levels, take a few notes as you go through this, because I am literally going to share the blueprint that we use with our contractors each and every day as we coach them. This is full transparency. Take it. It's free. It's on us. And hopefully you get something valuable out of today's time together. So let me go ahead and get that rolling. And just got to pick the right one. All right. There we go. So Contractor Boost, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to boost our businesses, break this 7-figure barrier and beyond, hopefully $2, $3, $4, $5 million. And so how do we do that? And I want to set some parameters before we get started here. A little bit of the goals of what we're trying to accomplish today. Hey, we want to get to 7 figures plus. That's the basis of this. We're going to talk about a few of the common roadblocks that you have. A little bit of understanding of where you are currently, because we got to understand where we are before we decide where we're going to go. Get some clarity on what to do maybe next in your business. Plan for when to do it. If you guys decide to be a part of our Boost program, some of the expectations you could see from us, results that you could expect based on past history, and then the toolkit that you would get from us for that as well. So what we all want. We want clear direction. We want the right advice at the right time. And Nathan, that's one of the big ones, right? Like there's all this advice out there. You mentioned it, like you got social media, YouTube, you got 1,000 different things going on out there. And there's all like this advice that comes out. Which one's the right one at the right time? You see a lot of that with the people that you coach?
You know, I was saying this not that long ago that there is a ton of really good content out there, a ton. And if you want to research anything, you want to figure out how to replace a storm door on your house, or you want to figure out how to install a sprinkler system, or you want to figure out how SEO works, you want to understand how to build a website, you want to understand how to do email campaign, you can search and find content for everything. And it's not that content's bad. There's a ton of content out there. And even when you go to a conference and you look at the syllabus of the classes, and I know I've talked to guys before, they're like, I don't know what to pick because I feel like I should go to all of this, right? So it's like, okay, well, what should I be doing now? You know, and the answer to that question is typically what stage your business is in. So the right advice at the right time is really killer. I mean, I think sports is a good analogy. You know, you've coached sports, Jim. You're not teaching a kid how to dunk on the first day if you're teaching basketball, right? We're teaching what footwork. They get so excited they don't even get to touch a basketball yet. It's like, no, you don't have to touch a basketball. We're going to work on your footwork first, right? This is how you move. Then we'll start talking about how to hold a basketball.
Yeah, kids hated playing basketball for me because the first 3 weeks was just straight up running. That's all we did. There was a lot of pre-work before we got to what the real thing was that needed to be done. And so some of the other things we want as contractors, we want faster results. We're tired of beating our head against a wall. We'd like to have maybe a roadmap, a recipe, blueprint, like how do we do this? And so could somebody just lay that out for me? That's our goal today, is to lay that out a little bit for you. They're looking for a breakthrough, like, hey, boy, that one thing that just made the difference for me to get through that next stage in my business, and then some time to focus on what matters most. And we end up starting these businesses, and for lack of a better term, they start to own us and take our time away from us. And we make a lot of sacrifices hoping to get some of that time back. And so we got to figure out where should we focus our time to start to get control of our business.
I hear that one a lot too. Like, why did you start your business? Well, because I wanted to control all my time. And they quickly figure out that actually everything else controls your time now.
Yeah, I wanted to start a business so it was a well-oiled machine, and I would just have to kind of pay attention to it, and it just drives money at me. That's what we all want, right? And but we end up starting it, and we go, hey, I was tired of working a 40-hour work week for somebody else, so now I work a 60, 70, 80-hour work week for my business. And we want to try to flip that script just a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about how to do that today. And so we got to understand what's preventing us from getting there. And so what are some of those things that prevent us? So we got needy clients. We end up with these needy clients. A lot of that has to do with not setting the right expectations. Have you seen that, Nathan? Like, why these clients become needy clients? What would the number one reason be?
I would actually maybe throw a different spin on that. One of the reasons why somebody might have a real needy client is because the person you're dealing with isn't actually your client. But when you're a brand new contractor, you're like, I will take anything I can get, right? And honestly, that's not a terrible strategy sometimes, right? Like you gotta build jobs, you gotta make a sale, you gotta get some contracts in. And sometimes you're talking to that person and you're like, oh man, I just know this is not gonna go well, right? But you do it anyway because you're like, I need a job. And I think that creates a lot of that you end up dealing with as well.
I would say, yes, that's a big part of it is like, hey man, it's just a job. I'll take that job because I'm a new company, or maybe we're struggling for sales. I think a lot of it comes from not setting proper expectations up front day one with that client, that this is exactly how things are going to go, because a lot of us don't know exactly how it's going to go. We're going to like seat of our pants, shoot from the hip, and we're like, here, we're going to do a great job, Mrs. Jones. And when we do that, we don't set proper expectations, and we end up creating situations that we could have easily avoided if we just sat down for a few seconds and said, okay, what can this homeowner expect? Then I can share that with them. Time suckers. And so time suckers are these things that you're doing that you could literally hire somebody else to do that would springboard your business. So if you find yourself running payroll, cutting checks, checking labor sheets and making sure those labor sheets are good, you're checking to make sure every job's profitable, you're running sales calls, you're measuring roofs, you are watching the jobs, you're ordering materials, all of those things, while you may be great at some of them and probably the best in your business at them, is it something we could teach somebody else to do that would give us more time to do what we're great at? And it's a double-sided coin. What I mean by that is we may be great at sales. There's two reasons why contractors get into the business. One is they think they can do it better than anybody else, and they're probably a pretty good sales guy. Or they're really good at the installation side of it, and people notice, and they're like, hey, come do this work for me, come do this work for me, come do this. And all of a sudden they're in business for themselves doing this work. But there's other things that we have to consider as being really good at those things that it takes to run a business. I mean, you have to understand finance. You have to understand administration. You got to understand production. You've got all these different pieces of your business that start to suck time away from you that you may not be great at, that you need to find somebody that is great at it that would allow you to do more of what you do. For example, if you're really good at the installation side of things, well, you can't be out there selling all the time because you're really good at the installation side. So maybe you want to hire a salesperson, because that salesperson will fill you up more, and you're good at not only installing, but you can train people to do it and grow your business from that side. And flip that coin right over, and maybe you don't know anything about installing it at all. You're just a good sales guy. You're going to have to find great people that can administer and install for you to grow your business. So those are just a couple of the things that we talk about when it comes to time suckers. Drama creators, one of my favorite. Nathan, how do you feel about drama creators?
Oh man, they're probably the most draining, because drama isn't just a drain on your mental capacity and power. It's a drain on your emotions. And so if you're getting hit like emotionally with drama, and then also the mental side of trying to solve it, that is like when they say burning a candle at both ends, that's like lighting a firecracker in my mind. Like, it doesn't just burn, it's going until it explodes.
Yeah, you guys that are watching here, I mean, and feel free to make comments, ask questions as we go through this. There's quite a few of you on watching right now. Have you ever hired somebody, and when you hired them, you thought, man, they're going to be great and all that other good stuff, and then shortly after, maybe a week, maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month or 2 months down the road, there's always something going on in their life. My car broke down. My wife's mad at me. My kid's sick this week. I've got a baseball game to go coach. And they end up rolling out of your business and having turnover. Now you got to go start all over again. How many of you have dealt with something like that? You've seen this type of thing, and then they bring in like, hey, Nathan's like, hey, not here though. We don't do that. that guy last week, Jeremiah's like, yep, I've had that guy. And so in order to prevent that, we're going to lay out this blueprint for you guys to help you kind of, oh, and the one before. Yeah, exactly. Like this is a cycle we get in that we're trying to hire people, but maybe we're not assessing them correctly, and maybe they're just not a good fit, and we may not be setting the expectations correctly whenever they come on. We'll talk about how to do that here in just a minute. Another one that prevents us from getting what we want, industry gurus. And we talked about this a little bit, and I'm not slamming on anybody. I want to be very cautious of that. While there is a lot of great content out there, many of okay, Lisa, I want to attend to your question because it's a big one here. Is everyone else having a hard time with managing jobs due to a lack of people wanting to work? That is such a great question. No, this is absolutely okay, Lisa. That is a fantastic question. And so, Nathan, we want to dig into that for a second, like people, because I've heard this a lot, the lack of people wanting to work. And so that comes from something that's pretty near and dear to my heart. I wonder if Nathan can guess what that thing is for me. You want to give any guesses, Nathan?
Well, I mean, I can guess a little bit, I suppose. I mean, from what I have seen, the difference between companies that are really struggling to recruit and companies that have people coming to them is generally culture. Now, that's not a slam on anybody in particular. Okay, so I want you to hear me, Lisa. If you're struggling with this, I'm not saying that you have terrible culture, but what I'm saying is that the proliferation and the communication of the culture and who we are, and being a place that people just absolutely want to work, because to say that nobody wants to work is like being hyperbolic, right? Like it's an overstatement, because it's not totally true. There are definitely people out there that want to work, and I think the real struggle for good, strong companies is putting themselves in a place, putting themselves in front of the eyes of the people who would want to work for them. Now what I just said is a simple concept, but it's not easy in execution. Does that sound like you can't, like if you're going to have this amazing place to work, people have to know about it. They have to know that this is an amazing place to work. And if they do, then oftentimes those people, we had a client, I think we'll talk about him a little bit later. We had a client where somebody literally drove across the country to work for their company. And when I say across the country, I mean across the country, and their business is kind of in the South. So not only is it a massive geographic switch, it's also a cultural shift, because if you're not from the South, that's a whole different place to live. And this person literally upended their life to come work for them because they were so enthralled with who this company was. That's kind of what comes to my mind off the bat when it comes to trying to find good people. It's not an easy answer, but it's one that some of the greatest recruiting companies out there have a little bit of a secret on some of the others.
Yeah, so I'm going to be probably a little harsher than Nathan. It's not that people don't want to work. It's that people don't want to work for you. And I know that sounds harsh, but the reality is that we haven't given them the proper incentive or workplace to be encouraged to come and work each and every day for something bigger than the company. Like making profits for the company is a very little concern for most people. Most people that have there's another, I'll get to that comment here in just a second, that most people believe that, hey, if I can give people enough money, they'll come to work for me and they'll do whatever it is that I ask them. And money has proven to not be a motivator for most people. There are the rare cases that are purple unicorns that just all they want to do is make as much money as they possibly can make, and they'll do it for whoever they can, wherever they can. But the reality is most of us want something that we can get passionate about, something that we can get behind. There's a reason for doing it. And it pertains to me as a person. One of the best questions you can ever ask somebody is, where do you see yourself in a specific time frame? So it could be 5 years, 2 years. I notice the younger the person is I talk to, in most cases, it's a shorter time frame, like a year or two. The older the person is, like 4 or 5 years, where you see yourself, and being really ingrained in what they're after. There's a great book out there called The Power of Moments, and there's a stat in there, and that stat says that 90% of people plan to quit the job the first day they come to work for you. The first day they come to work for you, they make a decision that this is just a job, and I'm going to go find someplace else that's better for me in the future. The other 10% say, man, this is awesome. And those are the companies that have created a culture, an incentive, and a passion that this person wants to be a part of. And so I don't think it's a lack of people wanting to work. It's a lack of people wanting to work in your particular environment for your particular incentive. And so that could be the people you're hiring, or it could be the dynamic that you have. The name of that book was The Power of Moments. It's a really good book. Ariza says statistical analysis have to be designed and standard systems engineer controls based upon performance tests significantly determined at distribution manpower management. Wow, that's a lot. I'm going to try and keep that in simple terms. You've got to create the right incentive systems to get people to do what you want them to do in the culture they want to be a part of. I think that kind of breaks it down maybe a little bit. You let me know, Reza, if I got that right.
Well, and I think he's also talking about the measurement of those things as well.
Yeah.
So if we establish standards and expectations, we got to be able to measure those standards so that we know that they're either not meeting them, or exceeding them, and then incentivize them appropriately so people feel appreciated.
Yeah, people want to achieve. People want to be recognized for that achievement, and we got to include that in our culture. So we'll move on here a little bit from that particular. I'm glad that was a great question.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome,
really
guys.
Good question. Industry gurus, and so well, like I said, there's lots of great ones out there, and they have lots of great information. But one of the things I've noticed is they're fairly niche oriented. You know, it's industry guru on marketing. This one's on sales. That one's on recruiting. This one's on leadership. That one's on culture. This one's on process, whatever it may be. They're a guru on that thing, and some of them are really good at the hype thing. Like we get all hyped up. There's a lot of energy and all that other good stuff. They're exciting to listen to, and we kind of get sold this bill of goods that's the thing I need to do right now. I got to do that right now because that guy's really interesting. He's really loud, and it looks like he's doing great. And all these other people are saying he's doing great, but is it the right thing for you to do at that time based on where you're at with your business and the size of your business? And whenever I look at those, while there are some success stories, I see so many non-success stories, not because of the product itself or the content. It's because it was the wrong time in the wrong place. And then you have the info overloaders. They're the ones that are just throwing out content all over the place. And you're getting content from all over the place. You're looking at YouTube and social media on Facebook and Instagram, and all this stuff is hitting you. You're like, which one do I do now? And we get confused by that. And then my favorites, the secret recipe hogs, these companies that have got it figured out. They got a system, it's working good, their company's growing, and they're not willing to share. They'll share at a high level. Like we can share tactics all day long. I can tell you anything and everything tactically to go and do out there and say, go do this. Here's the exact roadmap to do it. Go do it. And your execution with that will be minimal because you don't understand the strategy behind it. And that's the part of the recipe that most people don't share. We're going to share some of that strategy with you today. So, boy, that one got longer than I was expecting. That was good. So all of those things cause us as contractors to start procrastinating. We start getting in this position, well, what do I do and when do I do it? When that thing's big, it's like this big thing, and like, man, I got to build a training program. I don't even know where to start with that. And so it starts this procrastination thing because you're seeing all these big things that people are doing and going, man, that is just a lot to take in, a lot to do. And so we continue to shoot from the hip. We continue to think right along training and just go day to day and make another sale. Confusion. So we get this confusion aspect of things. We're getting all this information in, and we keep trying what it is that these people are saying. So that's that school of hard knocks approach. We keep kind of beating our head against the wall, and we'll take 2 steps forward and things will go really good. And then it's 1 step back because we maybe didn't do it at the right time.
I would also throw in too, which kind of plays with the procrastination, the confusion part is the whole chicken or the egg syndrome. What do I do first? Do I go out and try and hire a killer sales team that's going to generate a bunch of volume and revenue, and then just figure out how to produce it on the backside? Or which you know, you have all this revenue, right? But then you have a cash flow crunch because you can't produce it if you're able to execute on the sales side well. Or do I build up this entire infrastructure on the back end of my company in order to handle all this volume and revenue before I go out and hire the sales team? Well, if we go that route, we're going to see our overhead go up immediately, right? So the overhead goes up, and now we just got to charge as fast as we can into generating revenue to cover it. And so, like I said, do I build a brand or do I generate leads? Are those different? How does that work? Which one should I start on, right? Do I need a sales manager before I hire salespeople, or do I need salespeople before I hire sales manager? Do I need somebody that can help me in the field with production, or do I get a production manager first and then a project manager? Like the chicken and the egg. Well, this actually kind of looks like an egg. It's like a chicken and the egg kind of a thing in what to do first, and because they affect each other, right? So
everything you just said caused me a lot of stress. It's like, man, there's so much to do. And really this idea of which one to do first is fairly specific to each case out there. I saw a post the other day on Facebook. What should I do? Should I hire a sales team first, or should I hire a sales manager first? And that was the end of the question. There's so much more that needs to be known. Like, okay, currently in your business, who runs sales? Like, what's happening on the sales side? Is there a sales leader? If you have a sales leader, hiring a sales team might be a good idea, because you could grow a new manager from within. But maybe that company doesn't have a sales leader. They're more on the systems and process and finance side of things. Well, yeah, probably a sales leader might be the right thing to do. But even then, you would need more information to give a good assessment of what to do next. And so Scott Glazer says, preach my current anxiety. Oh, amen, brother. We deal with this every day. And it's this concept of kind of working our way backwards to go, okay, here's where the core of it starts, and then work forward from there. All of these things can sometimes lead to a sense of like we start feeling like we're failing. We're failing not only our business, but our family, the people that work for us. And when you start to get that can start to eat at you. And usually that starts to lead to it actually becoming a thing, that failure will become something that you may experience in this situation. So I'm here to tell you this failing forward thing that you hear all the time on the internet and Facebook and big speakers speaking about it and all that other good stuff. It's just plain bull crap. It's just, I don't know why anybody applies to that thought process. I've been saying it for years. I listened to a podcast the other day. This guy was talking about it, and he was like one of those India guru guy. I don't know what you call him, guys, but he's one of those guys that really strong wisdom wise. Like he was a lot of experience, and he goes, why in the world would you like go out there and try and figure it out all on your own when somebody's already done it? Like, why would you do that? Like, just go ask that person, or go get that coaching, or go get that help from whoever you need it from. If somebody's already been down the road before and they've proven that they've been down the road before, why wouldn't I just do that? And so when we do that, we go learn everything we can from that person that's been down that road, whether it be a mentor, a coach, or whoever it may be. Our opportunity to fail forward becomes innovation and creativity. We start to break barriers and do new things. So go get all the dirty work done with somebody else, and then try all the like creative and innovative stuff. So there should be a blueprint that gets you there faster. We're going to share that blueprint with you today, and you don't have to figure it out alone. There's resources. Whether you use us or somebody else is not of my concern, truthfully. What I want to share with you today is this blueprint. And from that blueprint, you're going to be able to go, oh, okay, that's where I'm missing it. And you could go get help, go watch the YouTubes on that thing at that time. So I want you to take some notes on this, like the timing and the order of things that we're going to be talking about. And like I said, we get it. We've helped hundreds of guys and contractors, just like you guys watching us and paying attention today. We plan on helping thousands more in the coming years. And part of it is just sharing this blueprint. This blueprint is so important to me. It was such an epiphany that I went out for 2 weeks last August, wrote a book, passed that book around to some industry insiders. One of them stepped up and said, hey, I want to write this book with you, who has a lot of experience. And he's the guy that's actually going to run our Boost course for us, because he understands it, he gets it, and he added a lot of value to it. And we've been down this road so many times. It's like, oh, geez, a light bulb went off. Went, okay, we get it now, why this is happening. And so we want to share with you guys what that is. But before we do that, we need to understand where we're at as a business. So all of you watching today on this, kind of think about where you're at as I talk about these stages of a contracting business. There's really 6 of them, and one of them is kind of a split one that you can see there. And the people we're focused on are the ones in orange. You're in startup phase, so you're just new, you're getting started, you're probably in your first month to maybe a year. We kind of look at that as kind of the startup phase. And you really don't have much going on yet. You're trying to get it organized and figured out and all that other good stuff, but you really haven't started to generate much for business yet. We have a lot of companies that come to us and get coaching to say, I'm starting out, I want to do it right. Let's go through everything with you guys, and then I'll hit the ground running. And so that's that startup group. Then you got the all the hats group. This is the guys that hit the ground running. And they're shooting from the hip. They're like, hey, we're going to go sell. We're going to go sell a bunch of jobs. We're going to get a bunch of jobs into our hopper, and we're going to be millionaires, right? And they go out and they do so. They actually start to sell some jobs. It's going really good. But then it gets busy. There's paperwork. There's jobs to order. There's bills to pay. There's labor to pay. There's all of these things that start happening that slow us down, and we end up wearing all the hats. We're production manager, general manager, sales manager, administration manager, or assistant, operations manager, office manager, our tax accountant, bookkeeper, like all those things. We got all these hats on. We're switching them off all day long. Boom, 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 boom. And I would say that's most of the ones that come to us, Nathan. Would you agree? Like they're in that all the hats kind of phase.
I would say that's true.
Yeah. And they're trying to figure out how to take some of those hats off. And that's what we're hoping to help you guys with today. And then the next group is, I have all these hats. I need to take 1 or 2 off. So I'm going to hand it off to a family member, like maybe a wife or a spouse or a significant other, or a friend, like a good buddy, somebody I've known forever. They know me. I know them. And we can, and what that is a level of communication that goes deeper than business communication. It's personal communication. We just know what's going on. But then as we go beyond that, we start to experience some growing pains, because we start bringing people in from the outside that don't know us that well. That nuance is lost, and there's more of them. Communication breaks down, processes break down, and the company implodes, is for lack of a better term, unless they get their stuff down. And so, as you can see, those first 3 groups are pretty low on the revenue scales. They're usually, maybe 3 to 5 million at the most on the friends and family side of things, and then down from there on the all the hats and startup. But once they get outside of that and they start to go through the growing pains, they bring on a little overhead, they start to put the right procedures in place, they start growing, getting beyond that 5 million into the 10 million range. And then they start to get it kind of figured out, and they become what we call solid. It's a machine, it's well oiled. They're running between 10-ish, somewhere in there, to 25 million, and it's going pretty good. And then they go, hey, I want to expand. I want to take this to other places. And whether you're in a big city and it's a big market and you have multiple offices, or maybe you're taking on different offices in different cities and different states, that expansion is how we see these companies go into those bigger numbers, 50, 75, $100 million. So kind of assess yourself, where are you at in this world of your business? And now that you kind of have an understanding of that, where does it go from there? And so we want to introduce you to this blueprint, or this contractor DNA. And think of your business as this living and breathing thing. You can see I have a picture here of a piece of human DNA, but I've used it to explain the DNA of your business. We all have a choice when we start a business and we're running a business. So we can either have it be a beautiful, wonderful child that grows into a preteen, a teen, and then an adult, or we can have this ugly little baby and things don't go real well for that ugly little baby because we start to do things out of order and we're just slapping it together and trying to figure it out as we go. And so there's two sides of this DNA. There's the foundational backbone and the operational backbone. I kind of got a mark there so you can kind of get a picture of what that looks like in your head. And most contractors, especially the ones that are looking to get help and things like that, are really focused on the operational backbone side of things. They're focused on usually sales, heavy on recruiting. They're big in those two areas. Like, hey, I want to hire more salespeople and I want to sell as much as I possibly can. Third one is probably marketing. How do I generate more leads? So we get a lot of those types of input whenever people are trying to grow their business and they're thinking that's how they have to do it. And where we believe that they miss it is they don't pay enough time or attention to the foundational backbone of their business. The leadership aspects, are they skilled enough and do they have a capacity enough to lead enough people and put enough people in place and trust enough people to grow their business? Do they have the right culture? And have they thought about that culture? And is it easily translated to everybody? And it's what drives everybody and what they do. Do they have a well-documented process for all of the aspects in their business? But really the main one is the ideal process that a job goes through. And most don't. And we'll ask this question and on our assessment form, and we get a lot of maybes. A lot of maybes. Do you have a written process? Maybe. If you believe that your CRM is your process, it is not your process. It is the milestones that a job goes through, but it's not your process. Unless it tells somebody how to set a ladder up and to do it safely and not fall, unless it tells somebody what they're supposed to say and how they're supposed to say it at a specific time, it's not a process. It's just literally the milestones. You have to fill in all these gaps. And whenever you have to fill in gaps like that, you become, we like to call it the Google of contracting, and you're at everybody's request. All they have to do is a simple search, type in your cell number, hit a text message, and you're going to give them an answer back. And you start getting flooded with these questions as you grow your business. You got new people coming on, they're trying to figure out what to do. You haven't told them what to do except from maybe a high level. And then now it's time to like do this thing. Hey, what exactly do I do here again? How many squares of felt does how many rolls of felt does it take to cover this amount of squares? And you have to answer that question because they didn't get that answer and they don't have anything to go to get that answer. So as process, and then organization and HR, how is the company going to be organized? What are you going to do human resource wise? Job description, employee experience, those type of things. If we don't think about those things, this is where we get into Lisa's problem, like people not wanting to work because we didn't give them the process to follow, the job description that is on paper that we can go back to and say, hey, this is exactly what we said we were going to do. And then finance. And so as I'm going through these, there's two main reasons why companies fail. And we're here to stop something. That's our job. That's why we're doing what we're doing. 70 to 80% of contractors go out of business in the first 3 years. And for lack of a better term, we're just sick and tired of seeing it happen because not only is it bad for the contractor and his life and his family and the people that work for him and the vendors that he's paying and just all that, it's awful for the consumer. The consumer loses trust in our industry and what we do. And we're tired of seeing it happen, and we want to change that for the contracting industry. And so leadership is number one. Number two is finance. Not knowing our numbers, not knowing them as deeply as we should know them. If you catch yourself doing this, all right, I got to pay that bill. So, okay, in order for me to pay that bill, how much do I have going out in labor? And I got to have these commissions to pay. It's about this much. Yeah, I can pay that bill. And so that concept and that thinking, this I got it in my head thing, is not running a business. Having it down to the bidding, understanding your profit and loss, your balance sheet, your return on investment whenever you were taking money and spending it, what are you going to get back for it? And understanding those concepts is so important for you guys to scale your business and grow your business. And then the last one there is accountability. This is the kicker on the foundational side, is setting what the standard is. Saying, hey, we've got a standard. We want everybody to meet that standard. And it doesn't have to be anything ridiculous, but at least have something that's like a minimum barrier of saying, this is where we're going to be in sales and production and administration. This is what needs to get done in our business. If you don't meet this minimum barrier, this is not a good place for you. Because if we don't do things like that, we don't set the right expectations for people. And whenever we then attempt to hold them accountable, that's when the drama starts. Well, you didn't tell me that. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. And it goes back and forth, and it's a he said, she said thing, because nothing is written down, because there is no accountability in our businesses. And that is the crux of the matter. Why we see these businesses failing is because nobody's accountable to anything, and we don't understand our finances. And we're probably not real great leaders if we continually have people rolling through us. One great thing about leadership, it's a skill that can be learned. It is not some kind of like magic pill or people are born to it. Anybody can become a leader as long as they learn the skills. It's not that hard. Facebook user, it says right on, Jim, right on. Facebook user, high fives. Well done. I appreciate that. And so the epiphany of this is that these things happen in this order. And the order is leadership, culture, process, organization, HR, finance, accountability. We got to get those things nailed down. And then we're going to understand how we're going to use technology to do those things, what marketing we need to do, the sales system that we're going to use, how we're going to produce all these sales that we do, the training that's going to be necessary to get people up to speed on this. And at that point, we can do the big thing that most of us want to do, which is scale our business through recruiting, hiring, and onboarding. That's what most people come to us for. I want to recruit a bunch of people. We're like, okay, how are you going to train them? That sounds great. How are you going to train them? Well, they'll just ride with me. Well, how long is that going to take? That's going to take forever. And the reality is they're probably not going to retain much of what you say unless they have reinforcement of it. And if you do get them trained, how are you going to produce it all? Exactly. In a way that's going to create raving fans and generate more business and referrals for you. And if you can do that, well, how are you going to sell it in the first place? Exactly. That differentiates you from everybody else in your market. So they all work back upon each other. And so what we want to get across to you guys today is if you're having a problem in sales, you're not selling enough. Let's use that as an example. Well, look backwards. Well, are you generating enough leads? And is that really the problem? Like if you generated more leads, would that help with sales? Or is it you're just not very good salespeople? And you don't have good coaching, you don't have good training for those salespeople. Or do you not have the technology to drive those sales and follow up on the pipeline and make sure that everyone counts? And are your people accountable to that? Are you holding them accountable to it? Do we have the money to hire a salesperson, install a sales system? So it all works back upon itself, and it usually comes down to those first two things. When we dig in with companies, those are the first two things we look at as leadership and culture. And if we can fine tune those, everything else goes a bit easier to get in place. So really take a minute, take a picture, screenshot, do whatever you want to do of this, and think about these things in that order. I want to recruit and hire a bunch of people. Awesome. Do you have a training program you can put them in? Well, kind of. No, you need to have a good one that when you hire, think about it. Why would people come to work for you if you don't have a training program? That's a good training program that they can rely on to help them succeed faster. Because if we're going to rely on ride-along training, you have this concept of time to money, that takes forever. And so I don't get money anytime soon, and I'm not going to do this, I'm going somewhere else. There was no powerful moment there. So think about where you're at. Think about that order. If you need any help with it, feel free to reach out to us. We can certainly we do free coaching calls. Fill out our assessment on our website. We'll do a coaching call with you and talk with you about your particular business. We do that all the time. It's something that we offer the industry out there. And it's a true coaching call. It's not a sales pitch or anything like that. It's like, hey, let's solve your problem. So any questions about this blueprint? Anybody that gives feedback, like it can be positive or negative, any agreement, disagreement, that's fair. Feel free to make a post on this or make a comment. I'm going to move forward a little bit here and tell you what you would learn from about the contractor's blueprint in our Boost program. First thing you're going to learn is business fundamentals, getting those things down and in place. You're going to learn how to create a magnetic business that people are going to want to work for. Going back to Lisa's post Thursday, they're going to want to work for you. The systems, Sean, appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. The systems and processes and procedure you need now. So those stages of our businesses, we need certain things at certain times. We don't need everything at one time, or maybe necessarily this specific thing at this time. We need the basics and fundamentals in place first before we can really start to grow our businesses. You're going to learn how to hire top talent, the how of it, the when of it, and what to pay them so that you stay financially sound as a business. We're going to teach you how to cover your assets. In other words, you're going to learn your finances, and we're going to make it simple. Jenny is our finance coach. She's amazing, the best teacher that I've ever seen on getting finances across to people, and everybody going, I get it now. That makes a lot of sense. That was really easy. I don't know why I thought that was such a hard thing. How to incentivize and hold your team accountable. And so this wanting to work for people, this idea of incentivizing them and then hold them accountable to that incentive, and how to keep them motivated and how to keep them this sense of urgency. That's the big thing. How do you keep the sense of urgency behind your team? The tech you need and why, and that's one of the great things about working with us, is we know all these people. We know who is legit and who's not, and we have a pretty stringent rule on working with those folks. And that technology is going to vary based on company and based on type of business that you do, trade you do. All of those things are going to vary. And we've dealt with so many contractors, we can help you start to figure out what that technology is that you need. We're going to teach you how to generate more leads by building your brand. It's the easiest and fastest way to start to get some leads right away, to start increasing that marketing. And it's the thing you need to do foundationally that's going to carry you for a long time. You're going to learn the high percentage sales formula. So this top rep sales system that we teach, you're going to learn what that formula is. It won't be as intensive as our top rep event that's coming up, but this high percentage sales formula, you're going to get it, you're going to understand it. We're going to show you how to teach it, how to create raving fans. Like, that's the big thing. How do you get people? It was a great experience here in my neighborhood. We had a hailstorm. Like, the first time I've ever actually been in a hailstorm where I lived in a neighborhood. I've always lived on like bigger pieces of property. And my Facebook group in this neighborhood is very active. Storm happened at 1:15 at night. First post about a contractor was at 1:15. I'm sorry, 1:15 it was when it happened. 1:30 is when the post happened. At 1:30, anybody know a contractor? I was like, what? It's been 15 minutes. It just happened. It's the middle of the night. It's 1:30 a.m. And I was kind of caught off guard. Like, man, people are thinking about that fast. That's how fast we have to be on top of it. And the post right after that were Heartland Roofing, Heartland Roofing, Heartland Roofing, Heartland Roofing, because he lives in the neighborhood and he's created this awareness of who he is. He sponsors the fireworks show every single year in the neighborhood. He has a following. He created community. And so how do you create that? We're going to teach you guys how to do that. And then how to train a killer sales team. Like, it's great to have the formula, but if you don't know how to train and coach them, which is where we see a lot of people fall down in this aspect of things, is like they have the content, but they don't know how to coach. They know how to translate the content and give it to somebody, but they don't know how to actually coach them. And we want to teach you how to do that. Nathan, anything else they're going to get from the Contractor Blueprint?
Well, I mean, what the rest of the stuff they're going to get, I think, is on the next slide.
Let me see what's on the next slide. First semester, Contractor Boost. So first semester is strategy and tactics. In other words, we're going to go through the strategy. You're going to gain understanding. You're going to get, hey, okay, these are the things I need to do. You're going to get the tools, the templates, the step-by-step guidance from one of our coaches. And they're literally going to walk you right through it. We're going to get to who that is in just a minute, because I'm excited to share who that is that's leading it. And then all the different tactics and options and various ways that you might approach this specific to your business. Second semester, so this is like a college level course, and it's 6 months. 3 months is first semester, 3 months is second semester. Second semester is execution and measurement. So we want to put our money where our mouth is and stand behind you, hold your hand as you go through this, handle any of those obstacles that you may come into contact with, and give you the advice from our years of doing this and working with hundreds of customers to say, okay, in that particular case, this is what you need to do. And have that person that you get the right answer at the right time from, instead of an answer that you think might be right for that time. And we're going to measure it. We're actually going to give you guys a dashboard. We're going to start measuring right from the beginning, and we're going to prove the return on investment in this program. Coaches you can trust. We've been around for a little while now, 8 years. So far, so good. It's gone okay. Reviews are kind of off the charts, and we do help people do really well. One of our problems has been, like, we do this one-on-one coaching, and sometimes they can't afford that. And so this is small group. We don't want to lose that personal contact. We love you guys. We love the relationship that we create with you. So we're only going to allow 20 contractors in this, no more. We're going to group them into groups of 4 or 5, right, Nathan?
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5, so that they're kind of working together. Think of it as your study group as you're going through college. And we've all been there ourselves. Dave, the guy at the top with the cool driving cap on, he is going to be your lead instructor. He has taught college for several years. This is literally laid out like a college level course. You'll get a certificate at the end and the whole bit. He's going to be guiding this, but you're going to see guys like Nathan step in and do some coaching on this. I will step in and do some coaching on certain areas. Jenny, the one in the maroon there, she's going to be helping with finance. Roz is going to be helping with HR, and the infamous or famous, I don't know which one, Chuck Toki is going to be stepping in the sales area. And we're going to start to really help you, because that's one thing that we've got going for us. We got guys that cover all areas of the business, and they're experts in each one of them. And we've got tons of experience here. It's amazing, this group. I'm still like honored and flabbergasted that these people wanted to be involved with me. I'm so happy for it. Every day I'm like, God, we have such a great team. We've helped hundreds of contractors break through their goals. We take pride in helping others succeed and making our industry better. And it's going to be practical. It's going to be step by step. Boom, boom, boom. Do this, do this, do this, do this. We're going to take a little bite out of that elephant so it doesn't feel overwhelming. And we're going to walk it through over a 6-month time frame to get you everything that you need in the order in which you need it to go out there and kill it and break that barrier and probably go beyond into that $2-3 million range pretty easily. So, like I said, executive coaches, and we've done this path hundreds of times. We've had 57 top 100 contractors. If that doesn't say something for itself, I don't know what does. The Contractor's Blueprint is proven. We've been doing this for the last 8 years. And we want to give you guys the fundamentals of it. It was built specifically for this group of contractors trying to break that barrier. Hundreds of industry leaders, you may recognize some of those names. Those are all folks that have coached with us. A little testimonial from one of our companies. They started out with us at 400,000. 2 years later, they're at 10 million. Their statement to us was the best investment we've ever made in our business and our lives. And Nathan, you mentioned it earlier. A guy went from the West Coast to Southeast.
It was a gal.
Yeah, a gal. I'm sorry, it was a gal. Went from West Coast to Southeast in South Carolina and went to work for these people because of what they created, working with us as coaches and who they are. They're just really good at creating that culture. And so it's what you can expect if you put in the effort. Like, that's the big thing. Like, you got to put in the effort. If you put in the effort, we're going to get you there a lot faster than you would without any help. So what's the payoff? Clarity and understanding of not just sales or how to install stuff, but how to run a business. You're going to get a new network of people to hang out with, rely on, this group of 20. You're going to get a practical plan, step by step, a magnetic business when you get done, a killer team that you're going to be super excited to go to work with every day. You're going to get fast, pain-free growth. That's the big thing, is like, how do I make this not painful? I don't want chaos. And you're going to be ready for the next stage. When you get to 2 or 3 million, that's when you might want to say, hey, that one-on-one coaching those guys do is pretty cool. And I want to do something kind of custom for my business. But wait, it gets even better. Always want to say that. I want to be a ShamWow guy at one point. Weekly small group meetings. So it's going to be a meeting once a week for 6 months. You're going to get peer-to-peer collaboration, so you get to hang out with those other contractors, gain information from them. But it's not just during that meeting. You can see engagement throughout the week. There's going to be a specific Slack channel. If you've never heard of Slack, super easy communication tool that allows you to ask questions of our coaches all week long in all of those various areas of your business, from true experts and from the other members of the Boost group. You're going to get a Boost workbook. And so think of it like your business Bible. It's going to be something that you can go back to, refer to over time. It's going to lay out your entire plan for you. Access to our expert coaches anytime that you need us through that Slack channel. You're going to get access to the Contractor Training Room, our online learning platform for learning the sales and marketing and some leadership stuff for your business that you can hop on and get anytime, 24/7, 365. And then the last thing, and I think probably the thing that's going to be the most powerful, is you're going to get this dashboard. You're going to get a Boost dashboard. You're going to be able to put your metrics in. Won't take any more than maybe 3 to 5 minutes a week. And you're going to be able to make great decisions from that dashboard regarding your business from a financial and numbers aspect. And we're going to prove our return on investment. We're going to prove that, hey, this stuff that we're teaching you is worth what you're investing in it. So 3 simple steps. If you're interested in this Boost thing, great. We would love for you to be a part of it. Otherwise, I hope that we gave you enough to start assessing your business and analyzing, hey, where do we need to work in our business? And you can go get that help from YouTube or wherever else you want to. But if you want to be a part of this, there's 3 simple steps. Register for the next class, fill out the Boost onboarding form, and then show up and do the work and experience that breakthrough growth. Sean says we need to talk offline, 3.5 million in 2 months, seeing I'm needing some guidance. Sean, man, we can certainly help you.
Way to go.
Yeah, it sounds like you might be probably more in line for our, first off, crazy numbers. Well done. Super sales guy, super sales team, probably strong sales culture, probably starting to break some processes, communication, things like that. If that's the case, go to our website, fill out it's ContractorCoachPRO.com. There's a button on there that says assessment. Fill that out. It'll automatically send you a calendar invite. Pick a time that works for you. That way it fits in your schedule. And we can certainly talk about a couple of the different programs we have and probably help you solve any of those issues that you're running into. I've been there. Oh, Sean, you're going to be a talk. Well, let's talk there, man. It'd be cool. It's not that far away, but if you want to talk before that, it'd be great. And then show up and do the work. That's the big thing. Like, if you do the work, it's not a lot. You're looking at probably an extra 2 hours a week of working on your business. Like, that's the big thing, like investing a couple hours a week and working on your business to get these things in place. It will then go poof, it'll just blow up, and you'll be like, oh, that wasn't so bad, and that was really fast and went a lot quicker than I thought it would. Our promise. So we're going to make promises to you. If this isn't for you and you find out it's not for you and you say, I want my money back, we'll give it back to you, no questions asked. All right, that's just that simple. We don't want anybody doing anything and paying for anything that they don't feel is valuable to them. There are no contracts with us. You pay month to month on this. It's a 6-month program. Most people would say pay us it all up front and then get in the program. We say pay us month to month. We have to earn your business and truly be valuable to you. If we're not valuable, for lack of a better term, fire us, really and truthfully. We haven't been fired yet. Not planning on starting with any of you guys. More time to work on your business, not in it. That's a promise from this. And then measurement of your progress to prove the ROI. We're going to give you that dashboard. We're going to measure this as we go through. And at the end of this, you're going to say, yeah, it was great or it wasn't. And if it wasn't, ask us for your money back. We'll give it back to you. So as you can see, nothing to lose. Sign up now. The next class is June 24th at 10 a.m. It's limited to 20 contractors. That's it. We're not going to take 21. There's already 5, 6 that are in the program at this point. So we're going to fill that up before the 24th. Don't wait another 6 months to take action on your business. It's just, we tend to do that. We tend to not want to get into getting something done with our business. We're the only person we're accountable to. And so don't waste another 6 months. It's crazy affordable. I mean, it's super cheap. What will happen if you boost your business? You're going to get direction, clarity, dramatic growth. You're going to be able to work on your business and not for it. You get those breakthrough goals and magnetic leadership. What's going to happen if you wait? You'll still feel frustrated and stressed out. You'll continue to cycle. You'll probably wear all the hats. You'll continue to be an employee of your business. And one slip could end your dream if you don't understand your finances and numbers, or you don't understand what it takes to lead your team. So it's an investment, not a cost, is what this really comes down to. It's like getting a business degree for a fraction of the time and cost. Approximately the profit of one job is what this will cost for most contractors. It's $797 a month, so you can do the math on what that is for 6 months. I think it's about $4,500 is what it comes to, or $699 if you pay it in full, and I think that saves you about $600. It's truly a no-brainer investment, and it pays huge dividends. You can go register right now at contractorcoachpro.com/boost, and we hope that you come and be a part of this. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. We've done some events like this in the past with our Contractor Evolve program. Whenever the pandemic hit, we had 45 contractors in that all did amazing. We know that the same thing is going to happen in this. We have worked with contractors through this type of program before, and so we know what's going to happen as long as you put in the time. And if all that doesn't convince you, and you're still just not sure, go get free information from us all the time. Go follow us on Facebook, go follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, our YouTube channel. Check out our podcast, Contractor Radio. Contractor Radio, we're out the last two, I think, last week's and this week's have been on how to make your business profitable and how you move that needle. So go check out our podcast. It's really strong. It'll help you improve your business. And we hope to see you sometime, whether you join Boost or you come to us in one-on-one, you come to our Top Rep event. We love this industry, love what we do. We try to make it as affordable as possible. And it's the whole reason we created this Boost program is we needed to create something that if you're under $1 million, you could afford to do that was going to make a dramatic difference in your business. Nathan, any final words?
No, I think that's it. I've just been sitting here listening to it. It's going to be exciting. We've been talking about doing this for years, and we now actually have the opportunity to do it and really invest in some of the folks out there that, I mean, I don't think it's not like they necessarily get ignored, but the larger, bigger revenue generating companies, they get a lot of attention because they're producing a lot of revenue, and that's kind of understandable, right? But man, there's so many people out there that aren't necessarily at that level that definitely need help. And so we're just really jacked to be able to do that. I'm excited about the groups. I'm excited about people getting to know each other and spending some time and helping each other. And it's going to be super cool.
Talk a little bit about the work that you and Dave have put in.
Man, so Dave and I have mostly Dave, really, which is super exciting. He's laid out this vision for attacking your immediate needs, right? So, if your kitchen's on fire, you're probably not thinking about your living room window dressings, right? We need to address the things that are important right now and attack those components, and then work to creating a better flow and a rhythm for our business. And so Dave's really worked out the syllabus. We've got a whole plan of what we're going to attack in which sessions, give you guys opportunities to think about and dialogue amongst your peers over those things. You're going to have assigned homework every single week. Some of it's going to be content consumption. So watching training videos, listening to podcasts, which a lot of us are doing anyway, right? So it's not like you're really changing what you're doing. And then you're going to have some assignments and assets and tools and resources and stuff that we're going to give you, and a workbook. It'll be one of those things where, when you're done with Boost, you're going to have this whole workbook of information that you'll probably continually refer back to. It's something you're not just going to pull off the shelf that you did a few years ago and throw it away. I know I've done that with some content that I've worked on in the past, where I looked at this thing and said, I haven't looked at this in 5 years. It's going in the trash. That's not how this is going to go. And I'm super excited to watch Dave work his magic. That guy, every time I talk to him, I learn something. And so that's
for those of you that don't know who Dave is, we're kind of building him up. Dave came to us. I shared the book with him. We had an interaction a couple times before, and then I shared the book with him to read. And he said, hey, I want to be involved with you guys. I want to be a part of this. And at the time, I wasn't aware of who he really was. I kind of had an idea, but not for sure. He was the chief marketing officer for GAF. He created the GAF Master Elite program, the Silver and Golden Pledge, all the different things that they do. He helped with the elk buy purchase, and just all these things that he's done in this industry. His claim to fame is he's the father of the contractor program. And he's doing a great job of putting this together. And we couldn't be more excited about having him lead this, because he's going to do an absolutely amazing job, not only because of his experience and knowledge, but because he has this historical background of teaching college courses. So you're going to walk away with college level education that's practical and usable, which most college level education isn't, that I've seen, but that's just me. All right, guys, any questions or anything? We got a couple of minutes. I can answer any questions that you may have. Any feedback on this? Did you think it was valuable? Is it something we should do some more things like this, and continue to do some live broadcasts and help people out? Any kind of feedback would be great right now. Otherwise, those of you that are like, hey, we got everything we need, I'm already signing up for Boost, you can get out of here. We'll talk to you later. That's I'll go back one slide, I think. There you go. It's Contractor Boost. ContractorCoachPRO.com/boost. If you can't figure any of that out, ContractorCoachPRO.com, and you'll find it there. Hopefully you guys had a great time today. Hopefully you enjoyed our live. And that's about it, unless there's any questions or feedback.
Man, just thinking about the people who might be tuning into this thing, last week's and this week's podcast will blow their minds.
Yeah, it's rock star good.
That's really good. Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
No, it's not shameless. I wasn't on it, so I can give a plug for it.
That's true.
Our coaches were amazing at talking about how to move the needle in profit.
Well, cool.
Thank you. Not everybody can see their name, so this one comes up as Facebook user. It says, everything's super clear, great, fantastic opportunity, no more excuses. Hey, man, brother, no more excuses. Let's get this done. Let's grow our businesses. Let's do it right, at the right time, in the right place, with the right information. All right, we're going to shut her down. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us, taking a pretty good bit of your time today. Hopefully it was worth your investment time. Expect much like this, but way deeper. No problem, Scott. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. Scott, hey, looking forward to it, man. Cannot wait to have you on there. Good to see you on board. Hopefully we'll get a few more people on board here. We'll be kind of running these throughout the next couple of weeks to get that class filled up. And we are going to kill it with 20 contractors who are going to change their lives.